How does one go from this to this, or from this to this? Real people, real transformations. Amazing life-changing results are achieved every day at O Skin Med Spa. Let Miss O show you the way. Your very own before and after experience awaits. Call now for a free consultation. Visit oskinmedspa.com for more details.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Who is Socal? And let me call in my co-hosts. We have Kuya Ed and we have Anthony Ferranda. How are you doing?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Yo. All right. Hey, man, I miss you, dude. Where have you been?
I've been working.
You've been working on the
working.
Yep.
Are you guys excited? Because I am, as usual. I'm excited for another night of interviews.
Yeah,
Do you know
sure
what we
are
have
as well.
tonight? Oh
Always,
my gosh!
as
I'm
always.
so excited because because we have the finest and most decorated martial artists in SoCal, like our Phil-Am martial artists, on our show tonight.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna have fun.
Right. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and it's a crazy bunch that we have tonight, right?
They're pretty lively.
Yeah, they're pretty lively, and
They're
I'm
ready to
really
go.
excited, and they have so much energy and a lot of experiences and stories to tell all of us. Right, guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
And before anything, if you're watching live, hashtag live, and if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, and hashtag martial artists if you're excited. So everybody, like, bring in your clapping emojis out there. We can't hear you, but at least we could see your clapping emojis. Are you guys ready?
Those, likes.
Yeah, and so before anything, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Olivia Keto Co. of O Skin Care and Med Spa. They are, once again, the official skincare of the 69th Miss Universe in Miami, Florida this year. And we have the law offices of Marilyn Sanga, and we have Formula M Creatives Inc. And later on, our special guests will have their own special offers for everybody. So watch out for that. Stay until the very end, so you guys will find out what those are. And so our first guest, oh my gosh, let me call her in. Yes, we have Eva Dican. Yeah, she's a Taekwondo representative for the Philippines during Sydney 2000 Olympics. She's been a Taekwondo practitioner since she was 6, and she comes from a family of Taekwondo practitioners who are all awarded, and her family has represented the Philippines in the Olympics several times and in several other games like the Southeast Asian Games, Asian Games World Cup, World Champs, and most recently she taught at the, oh my gosh, Kuya Ed, what's that? She taught at the Excel Taekwondo Center in Canoga Park. So let's all welcome Eva Marie Ditan. Hi, how are you doing?
Welcome.
Thank you so much, Mick Diaz, for having us here, and Edwin and Anthony. And thank you also. Good evening, Socal. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so excited to share some along with Kuya Vidal and Kuya Roger. Oh my God, I said Kuya, but thank you so much, so much. Yes, I've been in compete. I've been in Taekwondo started when I was 6. I mean, it's true about started when I was 6. I started when my brother actually got gold medal in the Asian Championships. That's when I decided. And the first class, just so you know, the first class I did, I was just watching. I jumped in the class and just started sparring. That's it. And from there, I kept on training until I stopped training. There you go. That's why.
And a lot of our martial artists or martial arts practitioners come from a long line of martial arts practitioners. Like their entire family has had practiced some form of martial arts, right, Anthony? Yes, and we should call in our next guest. So our next guest comes from a different discipline than Taekwondo. He's actually a Filipino martial arts guru, and he is the founder of Lameco Astig Combatives. Yeah. I wonder where that sound is coming from. I'm getting scared. So he started his journey in Filipino martial arts in 1990 in Los Angeles. So he was already here when he started practicing FMA. And the focus of his art is really into applied combatives and self-defense with specializations in weapon arts such as knives, long and short blades like bolos and machetes, and impact weapons like sticks and batons. And his knowledge has provided him opportunities to teach internationally from the US, Canada, Mexico, Europe, and Asia. So let's all welcome Mr. Roger Agbulos, FMA Guru Roger Agbulos.
Peace out, guys.
Hi, Roger.
Hello, how are you?
Welcome to Who is Socal.
Kuya Edwin. Let me go ahead and just call Kuya Edwin as Kuya. And hi, Eva. Thank you so much. And I'm so excited and happy to be here.
Oh, you're my Kuya.
Well, I think I have a much lower IQ than you are, so you should be my Kuya. So anyway,
we're not that far.
I do practice Lameco, and it is a little bit different from the traditional martial arts that has the formalities of the dojos and the studios and that curriculum base. Ours is a little bit kind of unique in a way that our practice is, as I'm not saying that we're the only ones that's passionate. I'm sure all of us are really passionate in what we do. But the thing is, ours is really based on we call it the backyard group, the backyard is our school. There's nothing formal, but we have a common passion and really deep conviction for what we do, which is Filipino martial arts. As much as the Filipino martial arts context of popularity is usually what's called arnis or eskrima, and then they always ask you that do you do stick fighting, do you do arnis? But that is just a minute segment of the Filipino martial arts. Filipino martial arts in general comprises like weapons and no weapons in terms of combatives, because it's dual based, so practice of two combatants and also self-defense. So because the thing about the Filipino martial arts is they start with learning weaponry and then they go to empty hands. So there is a difference in the mentality of Filipino martial arts, and it's such a beautiful art that actually a lot of the infamous movies out there are actually the choreographers of this, and the stunts in the movies are Filipino martial arts based, because it's such a beautiful art. So
yes, and we do have another guest who's actually used martial arts in a movie, right, everyone?
Exactly.
Yes, and it's his discipline is a little bit different from Filipino martial arts, but he is also Filipino martial arts practitioner. And let's all welcome. Oh my gosh, he has so many credentials. Darryl Vidal, our next guest, who is a Sho Dan, which means that he is a Kenpo Karate 10th degree Grandmaster, and he is also an actor most known for the movie Karate Kid. I mean, who doesn't know Karate Kid, right? And he started training in karate when he was a teenager in Chino, California, under the instruction of Grandmaster Joe Rosas, and he has attained the level of Sho Dan. And so later on, we're going to ask him what that means and how much effort it actually took to get to that level. And he was also the stunt double for Pat Morita's role in Karate Kid. He was the originator and the inventor of the crane kick. So everybody, please welcome Grandmaster Darryl Vidal. Hashtag Darryl Vidal, everybody. Hi, Darryl.
Hello. Thanks for having me. I'm so glad to see everybody. Thanks for having me, Mick. Nice to see you, Edwin, Ava, Roger. Yes. I don't know if I'm allowed to say kuya to anybody because I'm probably the oldest one here. So, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be on your show and be on the Filipinos of Southern California. So here I am.
We are so excited. Oh my goodness. I can hear myself, so if somebody has their phone on, please turn down the volume so that we don't hear ourselves twice. Yes.
Mine is off.
And so I just wanted to ask everybody, so we were talking about this earlier. What is your favorite food? Anybody? Let's start with Rogers, and he started talking about food early on.
I was mentioning earlier when we were before the show started, we were kind of warming up and we were talking about food, and I said that is where I have the highest ranking as a Grandmaster title with Buffet Doru, because I enjoy food a lot. I enjoy life to the fullest, and one of the things that when I go with my wife, my commander-in-chief, the real Grandmaster, when we go travel, because I have I have to teach in some events outside the US, from Europe to wherever, right? I always would go for Filipino food, but that's kind of rare when you go to places like Europe and all that stuff. It's very hard. But anyway, Filipino food, my gosh, there's a long list. So almost everything is my favorite. So I go for, of course, the infamous adobo pancit. That's standard, man. You can't live without those things. And I'm such a big fan of Filipino food. That's it. I have a very high ranking Grandmaster in Filipino food. There you go.
How about you, Darryl?
Okay, well, I guess you could ask the question a couple ways. One is, what is my favorite Filipino food? And the other is my favorite food overall.
Like all-time favorite.
Yeah, all-time favorite.
All-time.
If we start with the Filipino food, I would have to say lechon. I love lechon.
Wow.
It's crispy, and you have the peanut or whatever dipping sauce. So I like that. And then in terms of regular food, I love a good steak and seafood, but I also like Italian food. And so I kind of like to mix it all up. And then we said earlier, right, Guru, we like Korean barbecue.
Yeah. All you can eat.
That's right. And I don't stop either.
Wow. And Ava, what's your favorite?
Oh gosh, I have too many to mention, but my most favorite is spaghetti.
Oh, MG, really?
Jollibee style? Jollibee?
Not Filipino spaghetti, home cooked spaghetti.
Hot dogs and ketchup?
Sweet style.
Yeah. But I can't
with matching Drew friend, is that the one?
I'm not really sure. I like the Pinoy spaghetti, but I that's the one thing I cannot make, but I'd love to eat. I mean, most of my friends, even my friend like Josephine Omar is right here watching us, but she cooks the best spaghetti ever.
Okay, so yeah, so everybody, let's all try to hit up Josephine. If you're out there, there's like 6 of us here. And so tell us. Okay.
Who's that? Oh yeah.
That is so awesome. We forgot to play it earlier when you came on. Oh my gosh.
It's all right.
Yeah.
To get up and start doing some fighting.
Don't do that, Darryl. Don't do that.
Yeah. That's my favorite song. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it reminds me of one scene in the movie Karate Kid. And so tell us things that most people don't know about. Like most people don't know about you. I'm sure there are many, but tell us one thing that you want to tell us, like that. Of course, a lot of us don't know.
Who's first?
Darryl, the most popular guy should start.
Okay. What do most people don't know? I like to fish. That's one of my other hobbies. I actually have 3 other hobbies that I like to do besides martial arts. I like to fish, I like to play golf, and I like to snowboard. So those are the 3 things that I like to do.
And
outside.
there's one thing that I know about Darryl that a lot of people don't know about. He actually collects swords, and that's how I got connected with Darryl. Like last year, like back in like August, it seems like a long time ago, but it's been several months, and I think that was like in August. I was looking for toy collectors, and he responded to my question. And and I found out he actually collects samurai swords and English swords, right? Is that right?
That's right. Actually, my biggest collection are European rapiers, which are the long sword with the elaborate hilts that you see from the European fighting. And so I have a collection of those. I do have a lot of samurai swords. And then I also have a full knight armor in my collection. So the whole armor, breastplate, arms, head, helmet.
Wow, I see the collection you got there, Darryl.
Yeah, I'll have to show it to you, Guru. When you come over, I'll show it to you. You can put it on.
I don't have the full plate armor and all that stuff. That's European. I do have the Filipino, the Igorot Bahag. Anyway, that's
I have that too.
That's what I have. Yeah.
But I have that too for you, for use. We wear them, right?
Yes, sir. I do. I do wear them. Anyway, amazing.
So other things that people don't know about you, Roger, aside from wearing bahag.
It's out there now.
It's out in the open now. Everybody knows.
All right, guys. So if you want to know more about me, go subscribe to my. Just kidding. I've been very, very passionate about martial arts. So whatever is related to martial arts, it also gives me a lot of joy going through that subject matter because it's very intriguing, especially when you're talking about martial arts and you are into the performance base of martial arts, because there's a martial arts and there's applied martial arts. There's kind of like math and applied math, right? Engineering and applied engineering. So to me, I go for how is it that like for instance, I ask myself a lot of questions. How is it that this guy able to perform such a very, very difficult, complex, style and technique and spontaneous decision making under duress? So it really intrigues me. How are these guys able to demonstrate, execute that in real time? So I enjoy subjects like that, like the study of human high performance. So when I read these books, it gives me tremendous joy and education of understanding the rationale behind this, because these guys, the experts, would tell you there is really no such thing as prodigy. It is not like born with it, but if they do a study of that, they actually would find out. In fact, they did a research in modern times about prodigies. They can't find somebody with natural talent, because when they dig to their information in their biodata and in their life, they earned that way back when they were still small guys and when they were still kids and all this stuff. So they ramp up all the hours and being a master early on in their lives. So even like Serena Williams, Kobe Bryant at the age of 3, 6, Tiger Woods at the age of after 3 years, they are extremely high up in the performance level of master because of the number of hours they put in. So I am so much into that. It's really beautiful and very very what do you call this? Um, it sinks to what I want to spread and inspire people, because not only do I learn, but when I share, they also learn from me. But the beautiful thing about these subject matters is that they're backed up by research. So I put aside, the discussion about lineage and the emotional, attachment to a certain style, because to me, I based martial arts on performance, science, execution. So it's in fact in strict, I don't want to get heavy, but in strict compliance of like high science, right? There's such a thing as root cause analysis and all the stuff. So it's all about objectivity. So it's based on the science aspect of fighting, not style, not emotional content, because my dad is or the father of this or this is loyalty is admirable, but at the end of the day there should be one man standing. So to put the science into it is I'm so big into that.
Roger, I really like that discussion that you talked about, because
Thank you, sir.
I believe in the same thing. I believe that our martial arts are driven by our own natural passion and ability, but also the work that you put into it. But I would also add to that there is something to natural ability, because look, Eva said she started when she was 6 years old and was already ready to enter the sparring ring. And you and I know that we love the pressure testing, right? We love to simulate the real fight, because you can't really fight. You always are simulating it at some point. So the best way to do that is by pressure testing, right? Trying to challenge what you're doing with each other.
Totally in agreement. Totally in agreement. That's one of those part of your learning curve, right? So
yes.
Not only do you need to spend a lot of hours, thousands of hours. A definition of master actually kind of they put that in terms of number of years or number of hours. It's equivalent to about 10,000 hours that you put in there to be able to reach a certain level that is across in the strata of kind of like an expert, considered a master in that particular subject matter, be it music, science, martial arts, sports, hunting, what have you. In any activity at all, you got to put in which equates to either 10 years or 10,000 hours. But they define 10,000 hours or 10 years into what exactly is that per day. It is a continuous workout for about from 2 to 2.5 hours per day, continuously for 10 years.
So speaking of putting in a lot of hours, how did you start in martial arts? So let's start with Eva, because we know that she started when she was 6. But who were your biggest influences, and what really got you into it?
Like what I said, actually, my dad was a black belt in Aikido, which I didn't know until I already got my black belt. But one person really influences my brother, because I watch him, because when he got gold medal in the Asian champ, it was in the Philippines. And that's when I got started. And the good thing is that my grandpa owns one of the first schools in the Philippines, taekwondo schools in the Philippines. I mean, that's the reason why I got into the taekwondo. And there was one time that I didn't want to, my mom doesn't want me to drop it at my grandpa's house. You know what I did from my house? I walked from my house going back to the gym. And then there was also a time that I didn't want to practice, but it was my grandpa who was actually really pushed me to continue practice. He influenced me on, he's the one really pushing me to do it. Maybe because when my sister's doing actually there's 6 of us, brothers and sisters, 4 of us were black belts. And the youngest didn't get a black because she got a ACL injury. If you know what ACL it means, you can't even do anything. Like he torn her ligaments in her knees. So that's why she didn't get black belt. And then my uncle, my uncle was the first one who did taekwondo in the whole family. And then right now, I mean, it's good that my niece, my other nephew. Why did I even go there? But yeah, so yeah, it's actually my brother and my lolo, big part.
Mm-hmm.
They helped me a
That is
lot.
so
The
awesome.
entire family, huh?
And then
Hmm.
inspired even at home. So, but I was the youngest, so I'm the one who got beat up all the time because we always learn to respect our elders. So even if you really want to punch your sister or kick your sister back, but you can't. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I did not kick them.
And so speaking of like, Roger was talking about like simulating that experience of wanting to compete or wanting to fight, right? And you can't always do it. Like, so Darryl, did you find yourself wanting to do the same? I mean, like when you were young, like what got you
Always.
started?
Yeah, I mean, just to answer the question of what started, it was Bruce Lee and watching kung fu movies when I was young. Five Fingers of Death and Chinese Connection, and finally Enter the Dragon. Really
Yes,
opened it up
like that.
completely, and watching Bruce Lee as Chino. But
Yeah,
there was a
yeah,
time actually when I was very young, and this goes back to what Roger was talking about. I believe that I had a lot of natural talent. I was very flexible. I could kick high. I was quick, and for us Filipinos, we're not big people, so I'm not gonna be in basketball or football or baseball. So you have to find a sport that you can be competitive in, and so karate was it. So I started uh, training in Kempo karate with my instructor from 35, 40 years ago, and that's where I trained and got my black belt, and went up through the ranks and competed. And then it was during competition where I was scouted, and they were scouting for the Karate Kid, and they saw me competing in the tournament, and they asked me to be in this movie, and that's how I came to be this guy on top of the stump, as well as the guy that fights Johnny in the tournament, Karate Kid. So that's how I got started.
And did you have any mentors, Darryl?
Uh, well, um, yeah, I mean, my instructor Joe Rosas is a great mentor. I mean, I basically grew up under his wing, teaching with him and learning with him, and all of us know that as you teach, you learn. So the more you teach, the more you touch people and help them learn, the more you learn about yourself. So I think they
Mhm.
were my greatest mentors, my own father. But I didn't have a lot of martial artists in my family like Ava did, so I had to go find them. But a lot of them were Filipinos, and that's how I got my experience in Eskrima and Filipino stick fighting in FMA is because they were around me. I would meet these Filipinos and say, "Let's train." So I don't hold a traditional rank in the systems. I just call it stick fighting because I learned from this person, and then combine it all together to where I have the system here in Murrieta.
You're so disciplined and you're so nice, Daryl. I fought with the other boys when I was a kid before Taekwondo. I boxed with them like punch.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when I was a brown belt getting ready to test for my black belt, I started boxing because the same reason you want to learn to really hit
Yeah.
and get hit. So when you box, it's different. And after I started boxing, I would get disqualified in karate tournaments because you're hitting too hard. It's excessive contact. So kind of change your fighting ability. But then
Did
when you take that over to FMA, where like Roger said, you start
you?
with weaponry, and so you're working with sticks and knives and these different weapons, and then you transfer that to empty hand, and now you have a whole different system.
Mhm.
Hmm. And so with Roger, you started at a later age, right? Like in learning FMA, and you really got into
I'm
into
still
it.
young.
You're
Yeah, no.
13, right?
I know,
13.
yeah. Like when you started when you were 15. So did you have any mentors? Was there anybody that got you into it, or was there any cathartic moment that got you into FMA?
Well, Grandmaster Darryl Vidal here just mentioned one of the most iconic idols of our generation. It is Sifu Bruce Lee, right? So we watched growing up watching this guy as. In fact, Edwin, who's that guy in the picture there in the painting? Is that
There he is.
Yeah.
I want to make sure it's not me.
I drew this.
Marilyn Monroe.
That's right there.
Wow.
Okay,
Huh?
you draw me next. Anyway,
It's
Bruce
amazing.
Lee. But you see, a lot of the people, almost everybody in our generation would say that I grew up watching Bruce Lee and he was my idol, and I was dreaming that I would want to be a martial artist, want to be Bruce Lee, and all that stuff. In fact, I really started really very late. I was about, hey, don't give up my age here, okay? So I started really late. I was 25, and I've been doing it for 30 years, right? So there you go, do the math.
Okay.
So anyway, the thing is, at least when I started, I never gave up, man. Never. Even if there's hiatus, right? Like Eva saying that you gave up, but then you came because we had a chance to talk, right, Eva? I told why quit? It's in your DNA. You kind of sometimes fall into an no balance out because your activities is not complete without having the martial arts as part of your routine somehow defined during the week, right? So to me, that's one of my mentors, as Bruce Lee. Of course, there's so many others that you watch, even all the good old days like Shoji Karada, Chen Sing, and all that kung fu, and they even do like this. Hey, you want to hurt me? And all that old movie stuff when the audio is delayed. I watched all of them growing up, but eventually I had the beautiful opportunity of meeting my mentor, my friend, my family. Pununguru, the late Pununguru Edgar Suliti, who passed away. I love you, I miss you. 1997. Who actually taught me loving the art. There's the art, and there's also the combative aspect of it. So it's combative arts, right? So the beauty of it is because it's applied base. So even if I get beat up, boom, everything, I get beat up. Even in our sparring, right? Because I'm learning and I'm not afraid to get beat up. And then I go home, my wife beats me up. So there's a lot of experience there, So I would tell you this. It kind of changed my my perspective. Even in life, made me strong. Because when I get beat up, and this became my mantra, if I get beat up, at least I'm one day better than I was yesterday. So in the overall of be it philosophical, whatever you call it, at the end of the day, it's always a win-win because you learn from it. When if I don't mind, when Edgar Pununguru, Edgar Suliti, my mentor, my instructor, passed away 1997 at the age of 37 years old. That was quite it's too short of a time that he left so early, was taken from this world. But you know what? Even if our hearts bled and we missed him, it made me a better student because I hang on to all the philosophies and the wisdom that he provided me. So I watch my tapes over and over, the way they beat me up. I watched that more than 1,000 times, man. And you know what? Intuition develops a strategy. So you reverse engineer the strategy to be able to win on combatives, right? But before I pass the floor to the next one, I want to do a shout out to some of my friends out here watching. They are my sparring partners, and they taught me well, even if they attended my seminars. But they fight so hard to kick my ass. But because of them, I became a better martial artist. And that's one is Guru Mike Ritz right here from San Diego. He does HEMA. This guy FMN HEMA, Mike Ritz from San Diego. And there's of course Rudy Franco, my sparring partner. This guy is one hell of a combat jiu-jitsu expert. He tells me a lot of stories of real-time application when he does security in the back on the background. Big guys like this who wants to go in concerts, he doesn't punch them, he chokes them, and this is him, and this is this guy's this big. Amazing. This guys has given me a lot of wisdom. Anyway, now I'm lost. What are we talking about here?
So you touched upon it a little bit earlier. So what do you think are the best qualities or traits that a martial art that makes for a great martial artist?
Um, I think it's perseverance, and the thing is about the determination to continue on with your, even if you get to your lowest moments, is when you actually learn a lot. That's why it is perseverance and continuing on learning and be open-minded and don't be afraid to fall, because when you fall is when you become stronger, and that is seems to be the formula in life, right? Look at this, all these big honchos from Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, McGregor, Pacquiao, these guys who are from humble, beginnings, like hungry and no food on the table or nothing, from an apartment like Bezos, right? It's now one of the richest. These guys, amazing. They take life with so much. Oh my gosh, they are just so excited to live life. Even if they fail, they become good because of accepting the fact that it's always a win-win. So it's really is an attitude. It's a mindset.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I mean, as you start to learn, as you start to move up in your ranks, you start to teach. Let's say you get your black belt. That's really kind of the beginning, but you can't get to that without the persistence, right? You stick it out through the hardship, through the pain and the injuries, and then you get that black belt. But then you continue on. And for me, people ask, how do you get to be a 10th degree black belt? Well, it's just because you don't quit. Our system is based on continued teaching and training. So over the span of 45 years, I never stop. I teach here, I go there, and the longest break I've ever had from teaching and training was the pandemic, when we stopped for about 6 weeks, and then from then I started back online and I continued teaching. So it's been a part of my life forever, and you don't go about thinking, oh, I'm going to attain 10th degree one day. It's just that you never stopped, and next thing you know, I keep getting promoted, and next thing you know, here I am, a 10th degree black belt. And it also requires that loyalty, because you meet people who, oh, I studied here and I got a black belt here and then I went there, and I'm not poo-pooing that. It's great to get that well-roundedness, but by sticking with my instructor, I've always been moving up, and so I'm one of the few people who have a 10th degree from one person.
There's a saying, Darryl, that black belt is the beginning. You know who said that?
Well, my wife just said it.
You just said that right there. I'm just reading.
Black belt is white belt is never.
Yeah, that's
good
my
one, Grandmaster April. Good one.
That's right. That's my Grandmaster.
Oh, by the way, we're talking about martial arts, and there's one thing. Charles Chamorro?
Yeah.
Shout out to this guy. He is an FMA practitioner, that guy. You should call him Guru.
Oh.
Hey, Charles, thanks for having us.
One thing about I'm gonna touch on to the Dario what you said about loyalty. That's one thing I love about the Excel Taekwondo Center, because most of the students, most of the teachers now are masters instructors now are used to be our students when they were 4, they were 5, they were 6, and now they're teaching the kids now. So I'm just amazed, like, oh my God, I used to teach these kids. Now they're like they're the boss now in the school. And then we always break it down when I'm answering to your question, Mick. I mean, the things that we learn, I mean, in Taekwondo, I mean, in any martial arts, we break it out in 5 things. The first one is self-discipline. It's like knowing what you want. Because right now, I mean, in everyday lives, we always have to know what we want. And M is modesty. Stay humble. Even if you're a black belt, just stay humble. That's what they say. That more, if you're winning more medals, what happened to your neck? You bow down, right? So you should become more humble. And the next is indomitable spirit, fighting spirit. I mean, as an instructor, as an athlete, as a practitioner, you always have to keep on going. And in perseverance, what Kuya Roger said earlier, right? Keep on going. I mean, quitting is not an option. The last one is etiquette, having good manners, because everything else, if you don't have etiquette, that's I don't know what
Great.
you're gonna
Totally
call
agree
yourself
with
a martial artist. Yes.
Very good, Ava.
That is so awesome. And
Thank you, sir.
Now let's all bow down. And I know that all of you have been instructors, and of you are still instructors, and have taken from your instructors and mentors. So, what is your what is your style? What is your own style of teaching, and what do you want to impart to your students?
I'll start. I'll start. Um, they said I'm the dragon. I was the dragon. Dragon in the mean I'm so strict. I'm very strict. At the same time, I'm the funniest instructor. Kind of in the middle because if you're doing really good and you just follow instructions, you do your kicks, you do your best, and you talk a little bit. That's fine with me. But if you don't participate and you don't do your kicks properly, then you'll get. I'm gonna ask you to do push-ups. But I'm very very strict. I mean, kids, they come to school to learn, and then parents, they work so hard to bring their kids to the school. So I don't want to give a crappy. I mean, sorry for my word, but I don't want to teach kids, what they call chop suey or how shao, or I don't know. But I want to go 100%
Right.
because
I agree with Ava. I'm similar. We're not really formal. I don't
yeah.
make the kids say yes sir or call me sensei outside of the classroom. I tend to be more informal, but in class, there's no talking, there's no messing around. We have to keep them under a good, good control. And their parents want that, right? You
Mhm.
see these kids before class, they're tumbling around and falling all over, but the minute you line them up, they're almost like they're soldiers in the military, and they're learning that not just from us, but from the example that the senior students are making for them. So then the parents see that and they say, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen my kid stand in a line and be quiet for an hour."
Mhm.
So by putting that structure in place and enforcing it without being too hard, but being friendly and supportive and positive, they gain that, and then it affects them throughout their whole life. Right, Guru?
By the way, $1 million question to you, GM Darryl. Are you a good cook? Are you a good cook?
That's a good question. You know what? I've not been a good cook, but since the pandemic, I've become a better cook because I'm working from home, and then I've been cooking.
Eva, let's go.
Yeah,
Nick,
I've been
Edwin,
learning
let's
well.
go. Get crash on Darryl because we're a good match. Now he's a good cook. I've always been a good consumer. So he's a bang.
He's the buffet
Let's do
guru.
it. Let's
And
do it,
that's
Darryl.
good because when I cook something, my wife doesn't want to eat a lot of fatty foods or fried foods. So I'll cook something and there'll be enough for 3 or 4 people, but I'm the only one that eats it. So you're gonna have to come over, Guru, and share with me.
See that? I'm already doing a plugging here. Who's your
That is so
daddy,
awesome.
Darryl? Ask me, who's my daddy, Darryl?
Who's-
And he will be the grandmaster of cooking, right? Oh my god.
Yes.
Darryl is.
And so we have a question from one of our viewers for Darryl. Since you collect rapiers, do you also study historical European martial arts or HEMA?
So that's a great question, and Guru Roger mentioned about that, but I can't say that I have. But that we know that Eskrima and Filipino stick fighting has a lot of similar movement and attack type uh, practices as sword fencing and sword play. But I do know that rapier fighting is much different from regular fencing, and I have studied and watched a lot of videos of it, but I can't say that I've actually done it practically with others. I would love to.
That is so awesome. And so we all know that attaining that grandmaster level or guru level or an Olympian level, right, doesn't come without challenges. So, what types of challenges have you faced in your field? And was there ever a point when you wanted to give up, or when you decided, like you wanted to move forward despite the challenges?
Very typical in Filipino martial arts, challenges, all that stuff.
Yeah, my wife just put the question there, but I was going to ask Ava too, is as you were getting ready to compete in the Olympics, but you must have had some really big challenges there, Ava.
I think when I remember, it's not actually the Olympics. It was, I think, 2000, no, 1995. That was a time that 1994 already part of the national team, but I wasn't the team A yet. I think I was only like 14 or 15 years old back then. But during 95, I was I joined the Olympic, I know, Philippine team tryouts. So that was the same year that I was able to beat all the, the women's in my same weight, same in the higher one. But for some reason, I wasn't chosen to be part of the national team in 1995. And for me, that was a shock. Like, oh my god, and I didn't know what to do. So that was, I mean, I didn't think that I mean, I never thought of quitting. It's more of like why it happened, but I stayed. Even if I wasn't part of a national team, but my sister were, my both of my sisters were, so I still, joined them and trained with them. So that was the biggest challenge. And but the Olympics, I mean, the Olympics is the losing weight part. I have to be on weight. So yeah, the training, because I know what I signed up for, so I was expecting minimum 6 hours a day training. That's the minimum training, 6 hours a day. So, but still for us, we still do extra training, the mental training, the skip rope, just to stay more sweat or something like that. But yeah, that's the for me. Yeah, it's too long time ago. That's for like 21 years ago. That's like, oh my god, I have to dig in deeper in my mind.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I think
How's
I
that
think for my,
possible when you're only 28 years old right now?
I think for myself, the biggest challenge that I'm seeing now is as I get older, is my body doesn't move the same way. So, I'm not as limber as I used to be. I, you know, my endurance is not. But I will tell you something, and Roger, you probably agree that the timing, we still have the timing. So even if I sparring with my students, they don't know how to deal with the timing. So I can be slower, but I can still be on top of them and still move on them. So it is that when I lose my timing, then it'll be all over.
Um, Let me share something here. There is a posting here in the comments by Jeremy Godet. He says, my teacher, Guru Craig Mason, and I know this guy, Craig Mason, because he attends my Zoom, and he's been attending my seminars way back long, so many years ago. And he goes, Craig Mason speaks highly of Guru Rogers' athletically demanding instruction. There you go. Who's your daddy? Anyway, it's sorry. It's a plug. Is this a plugging? So anyway, to me, I'm such a big fan of especially when we decided to get this as our passion or our something that we love. It's our bliss, right? This skill that we chose, which is martial arts, has to be tied up with a lot of discipline. It goes with the package of conditioning and plyometrics. So when we're talking about plyometrics, you use a lot of weights and heavy stuff to condition you to develop speed, power, conditioning, and strength, and all this stuff, right? So it is not because I want to be athletic, but it goes hand in hand to the thing that I chose. Like for instance, Edwin, who drew that Bruce Lee and all that beautiful art at the back, that requires a lot of training and understanding about the contrast and about the stuff that you do, and so it develops a kind of philosophy internally. So to me, you cannot separate that because you cannot perform without the other. It goes the other with the other. So we call that in a simple term is called marginal gains. When you are talking about marginal gains, you got to be ahead of like the economy of motion factor of that, so that you don't go wide, because when you go wide, you telegraph your move. So when you telegraph your move, you lose the element of surprise. So it's not going to work out if you are not disciplined with all this. You have to have certain gains marginally. See, because that dictates your flow. I am kind of talking like or imitating like Bruce Lee here, like that.
No, that is good. In fact,
But it goes. It has to be.
what you're talking about is right out of Bruce Lee's Gao of Jeet Kune Do, economy of motion and
but you guys know
marginal
this.
improvement. But no, I like what you're saying, because those are the more advanced concepts of studying martial arts. At the very low level, you're learning form and stances and how to move. But then what Guru Rogers is talking about is at the higher level. For instance, if I'm trying to teach a blue belt, a mid-level student, about telegraphs, I'm telling them, okay, how do we know a telegraph? What am I watching? I'm watching your shoulder against the horizon. I'm watching, your head move back as you're going to move forward. And then once they become aware of that, when they try to change it, it changes the dynamics of everything they've been doing. So when we change something to improve, something else suffers, and then you have to fix that.
Beautiful.
I'm just doing like Bruce Lee back there in the picture.
I cannot relate because I'm a Jackie Chan fan.
Hey, I am Jackie Chan. When I was in Europe, people were looking at the car where I was, right? Because we were lucky we had a limo from the hotel. And it was so slow in London. It was so traffic, and people were kind of, because I was in a Bentley, I can't afford this, but it was there. It was provided. So I'll take it, So with my wife and people were looking, who's that guy, Asian hotshot? They probably think I'm Jackie Chan. But you know what? What Jackie Chan for me? Maybe yes.
I see the resemblance.
A bit of Jackie Chan, and that's actually more of Lucky Chan. Big family.
Yeah, Lucky Chan.
Darryl, sorry, I'm translating to you, Lucky Chan.
That's okay. Hey, you know what? I like Jackie Chan too, but I don't like him. I didn't like him as much as Bruce Lee because, he's incredibly athletic and he does great stunts, but his martial arts is always a little comedic. When he gets hit, shakes it off, and he'll take one in the gut, ooh, and then he'll come back and do his stuff. And, yeah. So but yeah.
Who's that guy in the picture? Who's got that guy?
That's right.
Oh, Mick, we're here. I forgot.
That is so funny. You guys are so funny.
I gotta control myself.
It's so funny. Since we're all like talking about like memorable things, and Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee are definitely one of them, right? I know all of you have had memorable experiences. So can you tell us, a little bit about your experiences? Those memorable experiences. We know you have a lot to tell us.
Especially like actual fights, or maybe in school or on the street, or did you help somebody being beaten up? Anything like that?
Anything like that, or anything? Anything.
We get asked about that all the time. In fact, I bet Guru, Roger, and Ava, you probably get asked about, have you ever been in a real fight? But I would tell you that being a martial artist, lifelong martial artist, it changes your temperament. So the likelihood of you getting into a fight goes down. If someone were to approach you, we would be better at diffusing or de-escalating the situation than someone else who. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a fight with you guys.
Yes, talk about control.
We have more self-control, so
That's right. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you because I think I was at the bar. Sorry, I was at the bar last time, and then someone got mad at me and said,
really?
I said, I don't care for Taekwondo. Let's go outside. Let's fight. I said, you know what? I'll just buy you a drink. Let's just enjoy. I'm wearing white tonight. I don't want to get dirty. So just a drink. So I was like, okay. Then she felt better. So it doesn't feel good. And she didn't feel like fighting anymore after that. So yeah. And I think when come talk about memory, I think the most memorable one for me, I forgot the competition, me as competing, but me as a coach. Because if I'm gonna ask you, if I'm gonna ask your coach, Master Darryl, or Grandmaster Darryl and for your Roger, nah. which is easier, to be a coach or to be an instructor? I mean, to be an athlete. You're the one who's fighting, or your kid is fighting.
Well,
And
they both definitely have their challenges, and I think you graduate from one to the other, right? You start out as a competitor, and then as you can no longer be as competitive, then you become the teacher, the mentor, and so now you are in a place where you have a similar investment, but none of the control, right? So all you can do is watch and advise and share in the event, but you don't have a physical connection to it. So I think it becomes harder as the coach or instructor in that competitive environment. But as long as your students are demonstrating, good habits and respect and all the things that you teach in your practice, then making a good representative of your system and style, then that's all you can ask for.
We do have a question from the founder of Socal Pinoy's, Charles Lawrence Chamorro. He said, with the propagation of McDojos, how do parents or even regular folks choose a martial arts school that would teach practical ways to defend ourselves without giving us a false sense of confidence?
That's a very good question, and I think one thing that you have to understand is no matter what martial art you're studying, you're only going to get so much practical self-defense. Especially for me, I teach Kenpo Karate. We have a full Kenpo curriculum, and then there's self-defense techniques that go with it. So if you're learning just the curriculum, where you're learning your kata, you're learning your self-defense techniques, and then you do some sparring, most of that doesn't have a lot of pure self-defense applications. So you have to kind of understand where the balance is, and in terms of pure self-defense, there's really very little you can do but train for it and hope it never happens. So to answer the question that Charles puts out there, which is an excellent question, I would say the best thing that you can do as a parent is watch what they're teaching, see if it makes any practical sense, because a lot of times they'll be showing a 10-year-old kid how to do this move or try to choke somebody, and it's not going to work for that little kid. There's only so many things a little person can do to truly defend themselves, and getting an adult in a chokehold isn't one of them. It'd probably be more like poking them in the eye, or sticking a pen into their face, which is really more of a practical self-defense type of idea. And it's something that we in the FMA automatically gravitate to, because anything I can do with my stick, I could also do with my pen, right? Or a rolled up newspaper. So I think Filipino martial arts lends itself to practical self-defense, probably more than just Kenpo Karate, straight up Kenpo Karate does. I don't know. Go ahead.
I believe that most schools, they're meant well. They really want to teach all about confidence, self-defense, everything else. But one thing I learned is that we teach as an instructor and as a student before. Two things that we teach is we always have to remember is discipline and confidence. That's the first two things that we teach them. Because even if, like what Grandmaster Darryl was saying earlier, we all have the curriculum. But if you don't teach them how confidence, like simple as, can you yell? Most cases they're like, oh, I don't want to yell. But how could you ask for help if you can even yell right now in this class? You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to confidence, you really, even if you have the tools, you can just punch anybody. But if you're not confident that you can do it, everything else, it defeats the purpose. So when it comes to martial arts, always remember confidence and discipline. That's what we have to remember.
Well, let me give you my perspective. Thank you for sharing that, Eva and Darryl. I totally agree with you 100%. But sometimes it's a question of the definition of confidence, right? So therefore, if thinking smart is part of the confidence, so be it. Because one way to assess on certain situation is that sometimes you have to swallow your pride, and that's part of the confidence of being able to do so. Because if you swallow your pride and walk out from the conflict, I can tell you this: at least tomorrow you live another day, 100%. So
Yes.
it's okay to have that build of confidence without fighting, right? It's called verbal judo. But you see,
So,
a lot of us, we nod, we agree, we go with that philosophy, but easier said than done. Because I'm going to give you an example that which all of us are guilty of. Somebody cuts us off, and we throw the finger, man. It goes to like an exploded, conflict of out of control thing, which might result to a major, injury or even death. You don't take my word on it, but go watch those sensationalism of what's on TV, right? Like documentary of real time from YouTube. It's just going out of hand. So therefore, when you say confidence, it's not about just being able to do this physically, but being able to handle this and
mhm.
evaluate this mentally in a mature way. So it's okay to move back and go run if you have to. That is part of survival. Because the most important thing for you to get into when you are into a situation is that there's no guarantee, even if you're a trained martial artist. Because you know why? You think the guy in front of you, the bad guy, let's just define him as the bad guy. You think he's going to give you a chance to hit, for you to hit him so that he would be lying down on the paved road? No. What is applied here is always a like ambush style of an attack. You don't know when it's coming. You always are, you have already been pre-planned. You have been into his calculation mode that you're not gonna win this. So therefore, it is important, if we're talking about confidence, maybe it's smart thinking as part of that definition. Besides, a lot of these things about like seminars of self-defense kind of gives you also a false sense of reality. Because if you attend this martial arts seminar and that you think is the thing of a solution that will get you out of trouble because of, all that stuff, that is an impossibility and not true. And I will tell you why. Because it's not embedded in your body. You never had that earned in your plyometrics of strength, conditioning, reflex, and also under duress. You were never trained. That's why it is important that you have this at least as a mental awareness, as well as learning from it and learning from the experts as to these situations, so you can better assess yourself and maybe part of your regimen, probably once a month or 3 times a year or something, to get to be into some kind of self defense awareness or teaching from a local dojo. That's a good thing.
So I have a question from our viewer, Mark Joseph Suarez. He's asking, should martial arts schools incorporate role playing to explore what situations could self-defense come into play and how to avoid and de-escalate? So it goes hand in hand with what you were saying, Roger.
Exactly, because it should be it should be part of your philosophy of your life. Because when you get into that situation, I will bet my paycheck, even if I don't have it, I will bet my paycheck you lose all the time 100%. Because it was never internalized in your head. It's just the reality of it. It's not like, don't tell me, all respects to my high respect, I miss you, Kobe Bryant. Don't tell me he's Kobe Bryant without the practice. Don't tell me Tiger Woods is don't tell me Pacquiao is that without the practice. It's the same thing with self-defense. It's not going to come out without you being aware of these situations.
I really like what Guru Rogers is talking about, because I also have taught a lot of self-defense classes where you get women and men who don't train, and they come to see you in a one-day class, and you're going to teach them, some self-defense moves that are supposed to help them. But I do want to say that confidence does play an important role, and I like what Guru Rogers is saying is confidence sometimes is to be confident about your own self-image, that you can turn around and walk away or de-escalate a situation and lose face, if you will. But there's also a part of confidence that you carry with you as you walk as you present in yourself socially. And so people who are looking for victims can see them by the way they walk, they're hunched over, maybe they're texting, they're not paying attention, they're not aware. If you're walking around and you're aware and you're looking at people and people are suspicious, you're checking them out, and you carry yourself tall and strong, that exudes confidence, and people can feel that. And then when I talk to ladies and I say, look, what if I grab you and I grab their wrist, and they go, oh, you grabbed my wrist. What I teach them is I say, if somebody grabs your wrist, you're going to do this move. You're going to break the wrist grab, and then you're going to grab them and say, you're not going to grab me. I'm going to grab you. You think you're going to do that to me? I'm going to turn it around and do it to you. And you give them that mindset that says self-defense isn't just about, oh, no, I'm going to protect myself. It's, I'm going to turn it around. You're going to attack me. I'm going to attack you. So you better be ready for me once I get in that position. So it's another thing about how you can apply confidence and help people who aren't confident and aren't exuding confidence. You have to teach them to portray themselves as confident people, and you can't just pretend that. You have to be more confident.
Well, it's funny,
Charles was
Darryl. It's
Sorry,
funny because while you're saying about that, I mean, that's the reason why until now, every time I walk with friends, I'm always in the back, and see everything around us. I don't want to be in the front. I have to be in the back when I'm eating. Like in the restaurant, I always want to make sure that I could see everything. Call me better, but I'm just used to it.
No, it's what the Guru Raja was talking about is once you start to train in martial arts, you guys know this. As soon as you get into a situation, you start to look and say, okay, what if I need to punch that guy, or what if I need to take that guy out? You're thinking that way because of your training. After a while, you don't do it as much. But initially, when you start training, you're always thinking about, oh, what if this and what if that? So that type of attitude is necessary for you to be able to protect yourself and to exude that kind of confidence.
But sometimes, as you guys would agree probably that egos gets in the way, right? You see, I've been, I went, as an example, when I saw a Jet Li movie one time, a few years back. It was a beautiful high action, Jet Li movie. And going downstairs, there was this guy tapping this other guy in front. Hey, where's the, tapping like goes because he's asking where the restroom is. And he go, back. He like, just when I ask where the restroom is, so, you're just like, wow. So I think here's the key. We just relax and the best advice, don't go in the dark alley, man. Don't go alone when you're out in the mall and it's like closing time. And you're ask some people, where direction are you heading? Can I go with you? Okay. Can I ask you, Guru Roger, to walk? No, I'm just, get practical about it. Don't go to something that we have sometimes that built-in sixth sense or intuition. So we should put our trust sometimes in those things that because that's a survival mode that just comes out to protect. We listen to that inner voice, be practical. Don't go being Bruce Lee, and all the stuff, because at the end of the day, when that's part of the confidence, right? It's educating ourselves with these practical things. It's the end of the day is to live another day to, out of chaos and always be happy is what life is all about. Cannot be always in that, like a very defensive mode, man. It's like, well, I am your daddy, it can't be like that, You have to be a happy guy. Look, Darryl, man, look at your smile. Always a big smile. And look at Eva, you're enjoying life right to the fullest. But just going back to your martial arts is a beautiful thing. But that's something that we have to be, at least in certain practicality, we have to think of this when we are in odd places. That's it, man. Don't be careless, because there's nobody who can save you except for your good decisions. And that's the most important thing.
Since I think most of the listeners now have kids, I mean, I just want to share something what we teach. I'm not sure if Guru and then Sensei will recall that, agree. But we always, one thing we teach the kids, if someone grabs them, we don't tell them to do this or whatever. Simple. We tell them just yell like, yeah, you're not my dad. Let go. You're not my dad. We always tell them that just yell loud. You're not my dad. You're not my mom. And then just try to stay on the ground because kids will, I mean, people will notice that, oh, how come the kid is on the floor? So yeah, that's what I mean. If you have kids, you can teach that. I mean, you don't need to be a black belt to teach your kids. But I think it's one of the things that it's funny, right? I mean, I never heard of that because before, oh, you have to do this and that.
Yeah, so we have another question from Charles. So would you be able to share times when you used your skills in real life, in a real life self defense situation when escalation did not work?
I never. There was knock on wood, but there was never a time that I was had to defend myself because I like what Roger's telling earlier. You don't go in the dark alley even if you know martial arts. I stay away from danger.
So I have a situation, and it happened when I was much younger. My wife and I lived in a small apartment building in not such a good part of town, and it was a very urban area, and there were some young kids. And let me just be honest. It was a gang area that we lived in, so there were some young kids bothering the landlord, who was this old lady, and we were inside the apartment, and we start to hear this yelling, and of course, just the smart part is saying, okay, you don't go out there. You're looking for trouble. There's these as the confrontation got louder, more and more people are coming in off the street and watching what's happening. But then my lovely wife, April, couldn't take it anymore, and she ran outside and started to confront these people. Of course, I was right there behind her. I couldn't let her go out there. So I go out there and get in front of these many people, and I think April said something about being karate, and they're like, "Oh, we don't care about your karate." But this is a great example of how you can't predict what's going to happen, because once we started fighting, first thing I could see was a bad situation, so I took the first shot. I hit the guy in front of me, and then started to go after another guy. But they were throwing bicycles at me. They had hammers. A big wheel came flying across. I got hit in the back with a hammer, and then basically it just turned into a big junk pile. And then the cops came, and we got all torn apart. And luckily, no one was severely hurt. But that is kind of what happens. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to get in a confrontation, and it's going to be bang, boom, and it'll be down." You don't know what's going to happen. If there's 10, 12, 15 people there, you're not going to come out of that. You'll be lucky to come out of that alive. So that is one time that I've had it, and I did, and probably the most important thing that I did was move first, because I wasn't going to let them take me down and then be laying flat on the ground. So
GM
my
Darryl,
goodness.
what can kick my ass? This guy is the legit. This guy.
And we do have a question from April Vidal. So what's the difference?
Well, where's my comb? When I take my comb, I'm gonna challenge you to this, sir. Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
So April was asking, what's the difference between a child black belt versus an adult black belt?
So that's a great question. I'm interested. I can answer it, but I want to hear Ava, because she teaches Taekwondo, which is a system where you see a lot of junior black belts. How do you handle that?
I got my junior black belt first, then become an adult. But the curriculum wise, it's the same. Maybe it's just a uniform for me, because I learned Taekwondo in the Philippines because at the age of 6 we had to learn 40 steps at the age of 6 to get to the next level and to the next level. So but here in the US it's different. I mean, it's different. I mean, to get to black belt, it's longer if you're younger, but it's just the age. Bottom line, sorry. It's just the age for me.
Okay, so in our system, which is Kenpo, Chinese Kenpo, we don't have junior black belts. It takes at least 7 years, and we start them at 6 or 7. We do have juniors that can start, but I don't even give them anything but a yellow belt rank. So they can't really start progressing until they're about 7. And then if it takes 7, they're going to be 14. So the youngest you could get a black belt in our system is 14. And by then, you should be able to spar with an adult. And for us, we don't have a distinction of junior black belt or black belt. Basically, we really would want them to be older and to be, kind of in an adult size. And then by the end of our testing in a black belt situation, which is a 4.5 to 5 hour test, you have to spar with, 5 to 10 black belts who are going to try to beat the crap out of you. Not to physically injure you, but to test you, to test your mettle, to see if you can protect yourself, to see if you can, have the persistence to keep at it, and not just give up and fall to the ground in tears. So once you attain that and you've gone through that, you're a full black belt in our system.
So we've talked about sparring and simulating situations, right? And competing and fighting. And so someone has a question from our audience. So Guru Roger, can you talk more about your fight with an ostrich?
Well, actually, this guy Rudy, Guru Rudy Franco, is a combat jiu-jitsu expert. Really, in real life, this guy is the real deal. But he's also my brother and my student, and I learn from him as much as he learns from me in Filipino martial arts. But anyway, he was one time in an ostrich farm. He was feeding this ostrich, and the ostrich kind of hit his head, And so Rudy threw away the feed and kind of got into a high-level meditation. And he came back to the ostrich with a handful of, with a feeder. And the ostrich came feeding, and he hit the ostrich just to get back even. I don't know. He has to bring it out, and you ask me. I was not hoping you're going to be asking me that question, but that's Rudy. He's crazy guy.
Did the ostrich have a black belt?
No, the ostrich got a hit from Rudy.
Oh my God!
Sorry, you brought it up.
So it's a true to life story. Oh my God! I thought he was like kidding.
No.
So so that must have been one memorable story. So do you have any other memorable stories for us, and any life lessons learned from those memorable experiences?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when you teach from different schools, different cities, and then different countries and all this stuff, you have to take into account these guys are as passionate and dedicated and commitment and diehard as you are. So they spend time, money, and effort to be there to check you out. And they're not judging you for any reason because they don't know you. You don't know them. They want to check you out. And if ever what they find in this class or seminar that I'm conducting is worthwhile, I got to show it to them, right? So sometimes a lot of these seminars, or most of these seminars, I go with full contact match. But it's not about killing. Come on, let's not get into that mindset of dangerous or ego. No, it's not. It is checking out the skill. That's it. There's no judging, nothing. It's just who's the better man, who's the one man standing. So I have to go through a lot of this. So sometimes it's a successful seminar. Like for instance, they were so happy because some of those attendees are high level, but they have their own style. So I put a different twist of my perspective of street application base, knife and all the stuff, self-defense. And in fact, I was asked by a guy after the seminar, and it was really successful, plugging. It was a successful seminar. And this guy was asking, he raised his hands because I let them sit down, right? So I have a panel question and answer segment. And this guy asked a question, right? After so many asked questions, so this guy asked, Guru Roger, yes. And he goes, what do you do when there's a gun? And so I go automatically, my answer is how far? Because if it's close, of course, you're going to go that Darryl Vidal Karate Kid style, all that stuff. I can do that exactly. But this is, and said, how far? So he was thinking. It was in front of me. So I move, right? Like say 5 feet away, this far. And he was still thinking like this, right? Okay, I understand. So I move. To make the long story short, I'm about like 3 cars away, right? Because it was a big dojo this far. And he goes, yes. And he goes, well, pretend to shoot me. And he didn't understand because he's in Madrid, right? Somebody translated, well, pretend to shoot. And he stood up. He goes, pat, pat, pat. Oh my gosh, you know what I did? I did the Matrix. And you know what? I didn't get hit.
Nice.
So sometimes I love that we were talking about this, right? It's also the connection with your audience. You can't be like military and all this stuff. You got to put humor and all this stuff. But sometimes it's a question also like, please get away from conflict because you can never tell. You know, the bad guy who would have this temper would always just think about this because there's such a thing as psychology of or meditations on violence and on killing by good experts like Dave Grossman and all those. You learn from these guys, man. So they have always the sense of leverage over you. So avoid it if you can, because that way you will definitely live another day. But what I teach is a last resort. There is no other way to get around shout, verbal judo, or there's nobody because these guys are calculating. We have to learn from animals. When they do their attacks, I watch National Geographic a lot. When they do their attacks, it is when they do at their utmost highest ratio of success. And what is it that they employ aside from their physical, like of speed, power, is ambush. So when you do ambush, it gets you to a certain leverage because you are not seen. Likewise, with these bad guys, they will, you see, watch all this is in YouTube and all this stuff, but even in news, right? They talk like this, no, man, they go, and then suddenly they hit you because of that element of surprise. So that way, also, like, for instance, in Kenpo, right? So they have this self-defense kind of mechanism because you will address that threat when it comes to you in a physical state, you know, exactly like this. Don't touch me. Don't know I'm great. And then you know, like Three Stooges, you hit. You know what? Because you don't. Okay, this is another false sense of reality in certain style, like punching and all the stuff. When you are so used to that, doing 10,000 times of punching, you know all the stuff. You know the body can take that beating, but you got to focus on self-defense aspect. And what is that? It is critical targets because it doesn't require a lot of force. It's a speed, power, and accuracy, and all the stuff. You know, hit this one and this one, and the solar plexus and the groin, if you have one. Hit the groin, and when he goes body slam on the floor, run. And this guy was saying he's taking Ran Kwando. I mean, that guy is a master. He's taking Ran Kwando. And I'm going to challenge that guy because my master in my art is don't touch my hair, though. So the thing is,
you got the jokes.
The thing is, don't take the class from that guy, Ran Kwando.
Ran Kwando.
But I'll run faster
and don't touch my hair, though.
So
and so we have another. We have a couple of questions. So this could be a fun one. So after years of practice, how do you recharge when exhausted, or how do you encourage your students to recharge, to continue?
Well, for me, it's what I said early on is that I have a few other hobbies that distract me from the martial arts because I have a regular job, and I don't know if you know this, but I've also written several books. The books that I've written are in my job area, which is education technology. So I work with schools and technology. So I've written several books, and that takes a lot of mental energy. So if you sit down and take the time to write a book, get it published, and all that stuff, that is a lot of energy that I'm spending outside doing something else. I play golf, or I try to. These days I don't get to play as much, but I go to the driving range a lot. And I don't know about you guys, but if you try to swing a golf club and hit the ball and then as you get better, you're trying to, try to draw the ball, try to fade the ball, hit high shots or low shots. It is the most difficult sport in terms of hand-eye coordination. I mean, you think at the FMA we're doing this really fast, crazy stuff, but hitting a golf ball, and trying to make the ball go in certain directions is very, very, very difficult. It takes years of practice. Some people are more natural at it, but it's a way of getting your mind out of what you're stuck in day to day. And that's what I use to kind of, release the energy, reset, and give myself a new starting point. So at night, when it's time to teach a class, I'm ready. I go to teach a class, and I feel refreshed.
I do have a very, very interesting experience. If you want to listen to it, it's true. So all of you have to agree if you want to listen to it.
Of course.
Okay, so there you go. I just need one. So anyway, I was teaching in the Slavic states, Serbia and Eastern Europe. And these guys are big guys, 6'4", 6'3", man. The Netherlands, this Amsterdam, these guys, they're really tall and all that stuff. So anyway, they're interested in the Filipino arts, combat psychology and all that stuff. And it was, I would say, it was plugging another successful by Guru Roger. So anyway, after this successful seminar, okay, take a shower. Anyway, these are all guys, so he's straight. So anyway, I take a shower with this guy, and he goes, this guy was so I am here, and this guy is this. It's like, oh my God, 6'4". Guru Roger, very, very good, very, very good seminar. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. So I was taking a bath and all this stuff. I like the way you do the hubad, it's thick accent and very deep voice. You do the hubad. And I was scared because this guy was beside me. I was taking a shower with this guy. And we're going to go, and the soap slipped. The soap slipped in front of me. Maybe we should discuss the self-defense aspect of this, man. I don't know what to do. But anyway, before him going to my area, I have to protect my area. So I pick up the soap and handing the soap to him. So I was going like this and was handing the soap to him. And when I handed the soap, I was getting hit by his. Anyway.
You're not ready for that.
You didn't do this.
The empty hands, Grandmaster Darryl, my empty hand skill did not work. Exactly. I was getting beaten up in slow motion. I don't know. It happened so fast. I was paralyzed. And sometimes I have to question, what the hell? What is my self-defense here? I was becoming philosophical. I didn't sleep for 3 nights.
You didn't have this hidden?
No. So what is the moral story? Should you pick the soap or not? I cannot contemplate because I handed the soap and I get beat up.
Moral story: don't take a shower together with a guy.
With a guy with 6'4".
Don't drop
taller guy.
I'm a good guy. I'm picking up the soap to give it to him. Let's not go back there. Let's
Yeah, we got it.
Oh my God.
Don't victimize yourself because you're not be able to sleep tonight. Moving on. Next question, please.
I have one question.
So, speaking of the moral lessons and your advices to other people, what top 3 tips would you give for people who want to get into your discipline of martial arts?
So I'll start with one of my favorites, and this really relates to us, Guru and Sensei Eva, as teachers, because my saying is, by demanding excellence, we help our students achieve excellence. So by upholding our standards for our system and what we teach, by sticking to those standards, we help others attain what we call excellence as well. So I think that's one thing that I'm sure they agree with.
Oh,
Do you have anything to add to that, Ava?
I think I'm done with that. No. For me, it's more of like do a little bit more in everything that you do, not just in taekwondo, not just in karate, not just in any other martial arts. Just if you think that, for example, I mean, like for example, I mean, your coach tells you to do, oh, you have to do 20 kicks, and then you're good to go. You do more because most people they stop at 20. If you can do more, then just do more. Just a little bit more because everything that you do, everything extra is going to help you for tomorrow. Oh, it rhymes, Kuya Roger. I learned it from you.
Daddy, who's your daddy, Eva?
Oh my God. I think we all got stuck in the graphic
Yeah,
story of Guru Roger. For a couple of seconds, I was like,
It started I asked him,
membership.
he said, yes, share it. So I did. Now look at Arvin saying, don't drop the soap. And it's everybody's talking about the soap. Let's get out of that soap thing.
Yeah, so
Because I
aside
got
from
beaten up. Look, my face was like reddish.
Buy a liquid soap now. That's
yes.
the story.
So aside from don't drop the soap, do you have any tips for people who want to get into martial arts or Filipino martial arts?
Sure. Now here's the thing. There's two philosophies in martial arts. There is that it's not even written in stone, I'm gonna say, but it's just an observation. You see, if you want to get into the fitness aspect, martial arts is one of the things the way to go. There's the sports aspect of it. But if I ask you, you know, a very sincere, not necessarily philosophical question, but very sincere question. What exactly is your reason going to martial arts? If you say self defense, then it might not be the style that you are trying to study that gets you into a solution of self defense, because because it also depends on the kind of school that you're into. If they're into tournaments of its point system, it's different on the street or the bully aspect of, in realities out there when you're on yourself, by yourself and all that stuff. There's a lot of situation. So there is the self-defense combative aspect and there's the sports aspect. So what exactly is it that you want, to get into your understanding of martial arts? If it's self-defense, go to reality-based kind of martial arts. But not to say that not all system can help, because it depends on the individual. But you still have to build your plyometrics, because without the plyometrics, the strength, conditioning, and speed, and all this stuff, you're not be able to pull it off. And there's one more advice I need to give you. When you are also in any form of martial arts, any martial arts system is better than none. Rather than thinking about get into a studio and practice, right? So here's the deal. Don't be afraid to spar. If you get beat up, you learn from it. At least in that four walls constrained environment, you are learning something. The absence of not doing is the same as indecisionness. So you have to be decisive and do something. Whether you fail or not, you learn something. It's a win-win. So sometimes when you teach, you have to be a drill sergeant. So that's I am.
Yeah, I like what you said there, Guru Roger, and just to add a couple more things to it. And one is find something that is convenient, because if it's not convenient for you to go there and train, let's say it's farther than you have expected, or it's a time that is difficult for you to work out, you're going to miss it more than you can. So it has to be convenient. Two is it should be affordable. If somebody is trying to make a lot of money off of you, they're probably not just in it for the teaching aspect and the building up of a school. I actually give my students discounts for multiple family members to make it more affordable, because martial arts is one of the few things you can do with your family.
Yes.
You can't necessarily go play baseball or basketball with your whole family. I mean, some people can, but you can do all train together in martial arts. But if it's going to cost, a mortgage payment for you all to train together, you're not going to be able to sustain it. So, find something that's affordable. If it's affordable, it's probably not so, into themselves. They're not going to charge you for each belt test and for new uniforms, and you have to pay for this and you have to pay for that. No, I basically I teach through a Parks and Recreation program, so it's very minimal amount in comparison, and I give discounts, and it's 2 nights a week. and it's something that you can maintain. If you try to train 6 days a week, you're going to do that for 2 months, and then you'll probably poop out and quit. So moderation is the key. Convenience, affordability is important. So, those are my tips.
I need some defense here because, like April, your grandmaster wife is saying liquid body wash, and the other one, Steve McFadden, is saying self defense or soap defense, and there was no soap. I'm getting beat up here. Nick, help me out. Edwin, what's going on?
It's because of the way you got beat up.
Forgot your stick.
Oh my goodness. And definitely that's one memorable experience.
And I was
Right.
being truthful. I was being truthful. It's embarrassing.
And so, are there any current projects that you are doing? Any of you? Like I know,
Yeah. Well,
Guru Rogers teaching, and Grandmaster Darryl is also teaching.
Always teaching. I have a new session starting next week, actually. At both, I teach Kenpo Karate through the Murrieta Parks and Rec, and I also teach Filipino stick fighting. So I have a stick fighting club which meets twice a month on Monday nights, and then my karate classes are Tuesday and Thursday nights. And then I talked about a book that I'm writing. I have a new book that'll be coming out in September, or not, excuse me, spring of this year, and that's about it's about distance learning in the COVID era. But I have one more thing that I can tell you that I have going on is about 2 years ago, I wrote a book about a musician. It's a memoir about a famous musician who actually played trombone for Elvis and for Frank Sinatra. And I wrote a book about him. So that book is on Amazon. If you search my name on Amazon, you can find it. It's called Backstage. And it has been optioned to be made into a movie. So maybe in the next couple of years, we'll see Backstage will become a movie. And then finally, my wife just reminded me that in November, I'm going to Comic-Con in Liverpool. I'm doing an appearance there.
And so, what is Comic-Con?
So it's a big fan, meet the fans, and comic convention.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So similar to Comic-Con
It
in
is.
San Diego.
Yeah, it's Comic-Con Liverpool. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so Charles is actually saying you should appear in Cobra Kai. So any hints or anything of you coming out in Cobra Kai?
Of course, I can't say anything, but they know about me because they used my footage in season 1, and then talked about me in season 2 and season 3 using my name. So I can't say anything beyond that.
Yeah, there is quite a bit of backstory about your character in Cobra Kai, right?
That's right. In fact, I found out in season 3 that I actually won the All Valley in 1981.
Wow.
I beat Johnny Lawrence. So me and Johnny are one-on-one now.
Yeah.
So it's all like in retrospect, right? Going back to the story. That is so awesome. And Guru Roger, any current projects?
Let me see. I have to tell the truth here, which is so.
We can't get enough of the soap.
Daddy, man. Okay, well, I have to get back to
the soap. I'm just kidding.
We'll get back to that because there's another version. We'll spend another time. Anyway, to one of Masters Magazine CEO and owner, Val. He's been inviting me, and I've been declining for the past 2-3 years now. Well, most recent is I have to decline because of the pandemic, and then last year was supposed to be, but it didn't happen because of what happened, etc., etc. But one of the projects is going to happen in the next few months or so, depending on the crisis. If it subsides, I'm going to go for 3, maybe 6 DVD series of my style of Flamenco TV, which will be into DVDs for international distribution. So I'm very honored, and I mean, in fact, some of the guys here who's actually with us right now, who's going to be joining me in this production by Martial Arts Magazine. It's Rudy Franco. We got Tim McFatridge. We also have Hopefully Mike, the guy who does HEMA and FMA from San Diego, will join me, and a few others. So I'm excited about that. I've also been, I'm also doing in next month a 6-part webinar series in Euro. So it's called Euro Lameco Astig. So it's the European martial artists doing, attending my webinar series. I've been doing Zoom classes since March of last year. So it's I've done Latin America, which involved 5 countries. That was done from December to January. And so come May, for the next 6 months, I'll be doing the Euro Lameco Astig. So, and of course, I've been invited to participate in a movie. I'm not as big star as Darryl, but I said yes to this movie. But I bet you, the only thing that I ask for a condition is that I don't get killed in the first part of the movie. I get killed, at least give me exposure of 10 seconds instead of 5 seconds. So he said, okay. So he's going to be in the middle part of the movie. I'll be appearing. I will end up dead after 10 seconds. But that's the role I took. That's the deal. So those are some of the projects that I have in the pipeline. The rest is non-truth. So all of I'm just enjoying this conversation, you know. It's like I'm
that
with
is
you.
so awesome. You guys are so awesome, and yeah, this is a wonderful panel. And for everyone who's watching, thank you for sticking around. And I just wanted to tell everybody that our guest panelists do have something special for everybody. So they actually have a promo. So the first one is a free Zoom class from Guru Roger Agulos. That's 1 hour and 30 minutes on Saturday, April 10 at 10 o'clock a.m. So all levels are welcome, including beginners, female, male, adults, and teens. And you can send your request via email at astiglameco@yahoo.com. And confirmed participants will receive the Zoom meeting ID and passcode with other important training information. So Guru Roger, do you want to add something to that?
Shout out, before I do add just a little tiny shout out to Tim McFatridge and Chalin. These guys from Dallas, Texas, they hosted me. And the other guy, Chalin, and I call him BDCC, Big Daddy Cha-Cha, is from Toronto. And these guys are my brothers, and they've been very good, kind host and diehard of the Filipino Martial. I love you guys. I'm also learning from you. So anyway, I look forward to those who would be interested. And there's no fees involved because of you're being an audience of Socal Pinoy. You know, it's a beautiful, big 20,000 strong family. I love these guys and be more than happy to extend something, give back to the community. So it's just a light training, maybe give you an understanding, and probably because it's an hour and a half, you can address particular questions because we will have much more time to cover all those things that you need to understand. But it is maybe a light training, so it's all about plyometrics, man. It's all about exercises. But what I chose is functional, something that I will train how I would fight, and how I fight is how I would train. But it's not complex. We're gonna have a grand time. So email me or get in touch with Mick Diaz, and hopefully I see you next Saturday.
Yes, and Roger has Facebook account, and he's also on Instagram. And Ava also has a special for everybody. So if you mention Socal, you get 10% off when you sign up for a class at Excel Taekwondo Center. And they're located in Canoga Park in the San Fernando Valley here in Socal. And the evaluation is actually free, but if you end up signing for the class, you get the 10% off as long as you mention Socal. And Excel Taekwondo Center has a Facebook account, and they also have an Instagram account, and you can find them at exceltkd.com. Right, Ava?
Yes, I also have a Instagram account. That's my sister's business. I don't from teaching people how to be physically fit. I am now changed careers. I'm doing financial services now. So right now on my I own my own business. I show people how to get out, reduce their debt, We show people how to retire early. We show people how to protect their families and help in a better business. And also, when it comes to taxes, we also help them. So if you need anything when it comes to anything about insurances, investment, just let me know. And for those like what Mick said earlier, and for those who interested, if you're somewhere in San Fernando Valley, just drop in, just do go online and just mention Socal, and then probably get this. I mean, you're gonna get discounts from my sister school and Excel Taekwondo Center. Thank you.
That's so awesome. Thank you so much, Ava. And Darryl also has a special offer for everyone watching.
Yeah, I was going to offer a free 30-minute private lesson via Zoom to anyone who contacts me via my Facebook account, which is Vidal Kenpo. And we can spend 30 minutes doing either Kenpo Karate or Filipino martial arts.
That is so awesome. Yeah, so
I would attend.
Oh,
I would like to attend too.
Oh, I forgot, Mick. I give free financial needs analysis.
There you go.
There you go.
I know.
Yeah, so you not only learn Taekwondo, but you also get free financial analysis
Yes.
from Ava. And yeah.
Favorite drink? What's your favorite drink? What?
Do that.
Yes, and she's gonna tell us how to doyo chagi, right? That's the only term I know from Taekwondo. So everybody, they all have Facebook accounts and Instagram accounts, so you can follow them there. And I know Darryl also has a YouTube account. And so thank you everybody for watching, and thank you most especially to our guest panelists, Darryl Vidal, Roger Agulos, and Ava Ditan. You guys are so awesome. This is such a wonderful panel.
Thanks for having us. It was great fun and great meeting you guys, Ava, Roger, Edwin, Mitch, Irvin.
Yes.
All right.
So many learnings, and the moral lesson that we all learned is don't take a shower with a soap with a 6'4" tall man, right?
Embarrassing.
And cover your face. I'm just kidding.
You started that, Edwin. You started that. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody. And don't forget tomorrow, we have our Socal Philam R&B artists. We have Miriam Price and Cynthia May Alumer Sweet. And our headliner is no other than triple threat R&B artist Rosen. So that's at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. Tomorrow evening. Sorry, tomorrow evening. Yeah, tomorrow evening.
I want to give a shout out to Guru Charles. I'm a big fan of you, Guru Charles, the founder of Socal Pinoy. Charles, if you ask me who's my daddy, it's going to be you, Charles.
It was so funny.
Yes, and
we'll see you all tomorrow at 8 o'clock. There you go. Arvin is back.
Arvin, don't unfriend me.
He's the master.
It's my son. My son. Anong degree to? First degree. Black belt.
Yeah.
Is that like
I can actually read the Hangul.
I'm Korean.
I'm doing some endorsement.
Who's your instructor?
Instructor?
Yeah, instructor siya. He's on an instructor program.
Who's the instructor?
Oh,
Master
Katayama. Master K.
Master K. Katayama. He has an Anaheim studio.
Oh.
Yeah, martial art. This is the name of the.
World Martial Arts. Oh.
World Martial Arts. Yeah.
Grandmaster Kim.
Yeah. Oh, and
just wanted to share.
I just wanted to share like trivia. I've actually seen a Cookie Won demonstration in Seoul, Korea.
Oh.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I went there. Yeah, like Cookie Won had it's kind of like a recital, and they had a demo on stage. Yeah, so I've seen that in Seoul.
Gangnam,
Gangnam,
Korea.
Not in Gangnam. It was at the bottom of the Seoul and Seoul Tower.
Oh, that's Cookie Won is in Gangnam.
In his Gangnam. Yeah. So everybody, don't forget 8 o'clock tomorrow. R&B, and next week we have Jazz Night on April 9th, Friday, because it's National Jazz Appreciation Month, and we all like jazz.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys.
Awesome.
Okay.
I'll see you.
Take
I'll see
care.
you guys, and thank you so
Bye,
much once
everyone.
again.
Bye.
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 How does one go from this to this, or from this to this? Real people, real transformations. Amazing life-changing results are achieved every day at O Skin Med Spa. Let Miss O show you the way. Your very own before and after experience awaits. Call now for a free consultation. Visit oskinmedspa.com for more details.